the Yankees deserve an immense amount of credit right now. Like what the Yankees have done, and it needs to be said today. Last night was fun. All right, now the previous night, you win late. That's always fun, McMahon. Last night, I'm sitting there saying, all right, Will Warren doesn't have it. That ridiculous pop-up, and I'll get to Grisham in a minute, who had a good night offensively, but still have issues with Grisham. Obviously, Will Warren was pissed off about that. I was in the middle, so I had to drop my son off at football, whatever. So I get in, and I missed like the first couple of innings. I'm like, Yanks are losing 4-1. All right, they've been playing pretty crisp ball. I'm not going to go nuts here. But then, the unexpected happened. Yanks start banging some hits. Yanks start cranking out some runs, and the Yankees wind up running away from Seattle and actually put up a lot of offense on the board. Now, it's not just because of last night that I'm that I'm conveying this element of positivity. I'm doing it because they've earned it. I am in the business of being transparent. I am in the business of being fair. And I don't think that I've been unfair to the Yankees. I'm not going to say that because, what I said about the deadline, the catching situation, some other stuff, I would have loved Arias, even though he's not doing anything right now at all for Philly. I thought he would have fit in very nicely here. But you have to take a step back. You have to. I know the Yankees aren't going to win 100 games. I know the Yankees aren't incredibly dominant. I know the Yankees, or I think the Yankees probably will not win the division. Right now, that's all secondary. I want you to understand, and many of you know this, but you need to hear it again, because I think you got to getting things a little twisted lately. All right? Big picture, just for a second. All right? Some of this you know, but maybe not the details, and you need to process it this way. All right? So, number one, Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge last played on May 31st. He's missed almost 70 games. Boom. Now, Stanton is what he is. Last played April 24th. He's missed almost 95 games. Carlos Rodon. Now, some of you don't, and I'm not saying it's not Guidry, but I mean, I think I value Rodon maybe a little bit more than some of you. The last 2 years, so 24 and 25, Rodon has made 65 starts. He took the ball every fifth day, and there's value in that alone. 65 starts, and gave the Yankees almost 400 innings, all right? Not to mention 34 wins, which obviously is a bit of an antiquated stat, byproduct of, run support, et cetera. But all the reliability and knowing, all right, we could give a pretty good lefty, a pretty tough veteran, the baseball every fifth day, and again, almost 400 innings over 2 years. This year, he's thrown 46 innings. 46, all right? I'm not saying you want to see him in a postseason. I know what happened in Toronto. I'm not saying I love him, but he's certainly good at the floor. You know about Max Fried. You know about Garrett Cole. They missed 110 games combined this year. That you might not know. All right, two-thirds. Now we might not love Grisham, and we don't. Last night aside, of course. When you do that, we love you. 2/3 of your starting outfield outside of Aaron Judge has missed more than 40 games combined. All right. Obviously, Belly with the hammy still on the shelf. I know these glasses look ridiculous. I still haven't gotten them fixed. I think they're leaning off sideways, whatever. And Grisham, there's a lot of issues, whether it's his defense or he has well missed time with the hamstring. So not only has Judge missed all this time, but the other two guys that you were penciling in every single day, one of whom, well, I wouldn't bat Trent Grisham anywhere near the leadoff spot, but Booney does. But both of whom are always basically hitting inside the top 5 of your lineup. And then as you dig even deeper into the ridiculous amount of injuries that the Yankees have faced this year, the other guy, one of your key outfield backups, I know he's not in the majors now, but Jason Dominguez missed over 30 games, And then you look at it, and here's the money shot. And if you can't respect it, if you can't give the Yankees some praise off of this, then you're just a hater. And then that's fine. If you want to walk around, be a hater, I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise, but I'm just telling you the reality of where the Yankees have been. Judge, and really where they are more specifically, and even more where they could be based on what they've had to deal with. Judge, Stanton, Cole, Fried, and Rodon. Forget about the amount of contracts and the money that has been on the shelf. Those 5 players combined have missed almost 500 games. 500 games, right? Your starting catcher's been hitting the $160 all year. And here we are, the Yankees, Football's basically around the corner. It's here. Camp's already, before you know, camp will be over. And then practices will just start. Got games tonight. You got 5 games tonight. Jets play tomorrow. Giants play Saturday. Like, football's back. And with all those things that I have just given you, the Yankees have the best run differential in the American League, largely because of the pitching. Trust me, I get that. And they're on pace for 92, 93 wins. And if they get a little hot, it's not implausible for them to touch 94, 95, 96. I don't know that I'd bet on that higher number, 96. Probably settle on 92, 93, maybe 94. Judge comes back, gets hot, whatever. Think about that, guys. Now, the Yankees aren't perfect. There are too many nights offensively where they're incredibly listless, but you factor in the way they've been the way that they've been able to plow through very professionally. No complaints, no excuses, no bullshit. Hey, it would, I know this will sound like blind defense, whatever. It would be very easy for Boone to say, I don't know what you want from me. I mean, my MVP's out. 3/5 of my rotation's been out. My starting center fielder's been out. The shortstop that we were hoping would be good is back in the minors. He was hurt to start. My catcher can't hit a lick. My second baseman's in space. For a while, I had a 39-year-old Goldschmidt who was maybe my best player for about a 3-week span offensively. My other stud outfielder, hamstring on the shelf. Like, the backup outfielder, he's been jacked up with the shoulder. He missed 40 games. He's in the minors. So all of the injury issues, which on so many levels, and this does speak to the solid base of the Yankees franchise, which nobody wants to hear. And nobody wants to, and I get it. I'm not saying I'm just handing out platitudes. Oh my God, the Yankees, so amazing. Wow. The Yankees are going to win 92. The Yankees should win 92 games every year because they're the Yankees. But guys, you have to look at what they have been, the cards that they've been dealt. And you want to talk about, like, well, some of their own are their own why can't I say that? Are their own doing. I don't even know if that made sense. You know what I mean? Player development hasn't been that great. All right, well, that's something that I've talked about a lot, and it has bothered me, and rightfully so. I mean, outside of Aaron Judge and then obviously Ben Rice, like, there's been no evidence that the Yankees have developed their younger players. You just haven't seen that. Well, guess what? Now, we all strongly surmised Lombard was different, and he is. 2 more knocks last. The kid's a stud. What about Spencer Jones? Spencer Jones is the best center fielder on this team. Spencer Jones should be playing center field. Now, today's not the day necessarily to get on the air and rail about Trent Grisham, but his defense has been deplorably bad this year. Like, he's just awful in center field. And he's a streaky guy who's had a lot of subpar seasons under his resume. He's had 3 years where he's failed to hit 200 in the major leagues. Now, he's done some good things for the Yankees. I didn't want him back. I didn't think he'd signed the $22 million qualifying offer. I wanted to go in a different direction. See what Jones has, see what Dominguez has, put Belly in center. I just wanted something different, right? And he's back, and we know that. And for the most part, there's a lot of empty outs, and there's been, like, it's one thing to be an average outfielder, but his decline in defense, and all the numbers support this, it's been stark. Like, it's really unavoidable. You can't help but notice how bad he's become defensively. He's literally, and this is measurable, the slowest center fielder in all of Major League Baseball, with like X amount of plate appearances, X amount of innings, or X amount of chances, whatever that benchmark barometer is to actually, measure that. Like, he's the slowest guy in terms of foot speed. And last night, that pop-up, I mean, Lombard was 70 feet behind second base. Yo, Trent, come and get the baseball, dude. You're playing center field. But today is the day where you got to stop sipping the haterade today. They've earned. You get what you earn. Like, I tell my kids this all the time. Now, I told the story where, I coach my daughter's rec softball team, and she's like, so it's like, there's usually 2 grades, and she's like the younger of the 2 grades. And she kept, Dad, I want to pitch. Dad, you want pitch? Go practice. Like, okay. Just because daddy's the coach, daddy's not going to put you out there on the mound if you can't throw a strike. You've got to demonstrate to dad that you want to get out there and that you want to practice. And then I saw her kind of walking around the house and practicing her little underhand routine and like with her footwork. And then she started asking, hey, Dad, can we get to the game a little bit early so I can pick? Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, Dad, could you get me lessons? Yeah. And guess what? I'm not saying she was Jenny Finch, but, even her travel team coach put her in there for an inning or two this summer. And you get what you earn is the point. All right. So nobody's here to just hand out, L's that aren't earned, or again, platitudes that aren't earned. The Yankees deserve a lot of credit here. I mean, the Yankees could have disintegrated. Look at the season that I don't know what's going on with Vlad Guerrero. And quite frankly, I really couldn't care less, but he has been asked this year. It's confounding because he's a stud. I don't think it ties into the contract that he got, and he just got lazy. I mean, I think mechanically he's a mess, and obviously once the mechanics go awry for that long with a sport like baseball or golf, now the mental stuff seeps in. He's broken. He's broken. Not our problem, their problem. But the point is, look at, like, it's kind of commensurate with the lack of production that he's had this year. Look at what's happened to Toronto. What are they? What's Toronto? 59 and 63? Are you telling me if Vlad was, hitting 321 with, 29 jacks at an OPS of 910, that they're 59 and 63? They're not. That's the point. Then the Yankees, and Judge is better than Vlad Guerrero, nobody's disputing that, they have managed to not only stay afloat with Aaron Judge basically missing the entire season so far, basically, and all the other things I've run through, a catcher who's been, even though he's been better lately, a non-entity as a hitter behind the plate, a shortstop who was a mess before they called up Lombard, a second baseman who's in space half the time, a third baseman. I got to be fair. McMahon's played pretty well the last couple of months. He's hit much better. A center fielder we all have issues with. Other injuries that I just don't need to keep laying this out. What's happened, but I don't feel as if people are appreciating how the Yankees have been able to grind through this season. Like, there's value there. That you got to respect that. You got to. And if you don't, I think you either don't understand really how tough baseball is, or this could be both, or you're just of the mindset, we're the Yankees, we spend $330 million, not as much as the Mets and the Dodgers, but still a lot of money. And because I grew up watching Reggie or Guidry or Jeter or whatever, depending upon your age, me need championships. No championship equal failure. And I'm kind of with you to an extent. I get it. Like, that's the Yankees created that mantra. That is the Yankee vision. That is their stated goal. Now, Cashman hasn't said this in a while, but there were many years, like after the 2003 World Series when they lost to the Marlins. I'm sure he said this in 2001 when they lost to the Diamondbacks. Yeah, the collapse against the Red Sox in 2004. Other years, we have heard Brian Cashman say, this is the stated goal. We didn't win the championship. This season's a failure. I mean, their former captain espoused that all the time. We didn't win the championship, failure. Don't care about, we got to game 6, got to game 7, ALCS. I did this, Mo did that, Birdie did that. Doesn't matter. We didn't win. We didn't win the championship. So the Yankees created, I respect that. You love that as a Yankee fan. You feel like they've gotten away from that a little bit, but any pushback that I've generated toward the Yankees has been based on the expectation and the template that they created of their own successful volition. So I've never out of pocket. I don't think any of us really were, but I do believe you're out of pocket now if you're walking around, Yanks aren't going to win. Yeah, like, you've got to appreciate grit. You've got to appreciate grind. And you've got to take, in a long, monotonous season like baseball, you've got to take the wins, and I don't just mean the literal wins when you win 7-6 or 10-5. Like, you got to take the gains, and you got to take the storylines, and you got to take the resourcefulness and the resilience when your team gives it to you. You have to. Otherwise, you're missing, number one, you're missing the big picture, but I also think that you're missing some pretty damn good stories that have been written here.